Hello everybody, I'm Peter the Book Lover, and in this video I'm going to talk about my top 100 favorite books. Now this is the end of the list. This is from 10 to 1. These are my absolute favorite books, and I love every single one of these books a lot, and I'm going to enjoy talking about them. So let's get into these books. Hello everybody, I'm Peter the Book Lover. I like to read a lot of books, I like to talk about a lot of books, and I like to make videos where I talk about books. And I enjoy doing this, and I hopefully that you will enjoy hearing me talk about these books. And this is the last video of a 10 video set that I've done, and these are the number one books in my opinion. All these books are phenomenal. I really think they're awesome, and I really enjoy every single one of them, and hopefully you will enjoy these books as well. But before I get into the books, I want to thank everybody for being here. You're really awesome for giving me your time. Thank you so much for being here. Every single one of you that is here, I really appreciate you coming. Okay, so let's get into it. And let's start it off with number 10. Now, number 10 is based off of a true story. This is written by Erik Larson, and this is The Devil in the White City. And what this is about the one of America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes, Herman Mudgett. And at the same time, this is about the World's Fair in Chicago. This is Daniel Burnham is the person that's building the fair. Now, the way this book is set up, it talks about H.H. Holmes, and then it goes into Daniel Burnham and what he did to make the city of Chicago, my hometown. And what's really incredible about this book is the pacing of this book. And the thing about it is most people would be interested in reading this book to find out about H.H. Holmes. But to tell you the truth, there's a lot of brutality in the making of the White City and what they did to make this city. This was an incredible book. I mean, very gripping. This is based off of true events, but this is written in like a novel. So it's very engrossing. I love this one a lot. And yeah, if you never heard of H.H. Holmes, you should check him out. I hope that they make a movie of this one day because this would be an incredible movie. This was an incredible book by Erik Larson. The Devil in the White City is number 10. Okay, number 9. And this one was not really, I can't really give a date of when this came out, but this came out around 700 BC. And this is the Iliad by Homer. And this is an incredible novel about the war of the Trojan War. And it's just great. The way they come and the way they describe the events. Uh, it's awesome Greek mythology. I really love this a lot. As a matter of fact, when I was reading this, I thought this was going to be like my number one book. But to tell you the truth, this doesn't cover all of the Trojan War. This kind of like only covers part of it. And there's still a lot more to go when this book ends. But this was an incredible novel. I loved it, man. There's a lot of Greek mythology. You're going to have a little trouble pronouncing a lot of the names in this book. You know, there's Achilles, there's Patroclus, there's a whole bunch of characters that you might have a little bit of trouble pronouncing their names. I did enjoy this, though. This was a very interesting book. And there's other translations than the one that I read. The Robert Fagles translation is the one that I read. And the pacing of it was really incredible. I love the writing style. And this was fantastic. Although, to tell you the truth, I was hoping they would get into the wooden horse. You know, you've heard of the wooden horse. And also, Troy of Helen is in this. You know, Hector and Paris is another character in this. If you ever watch the movie Troy, a lot of that stuff is in this book. And this is fantastic. It's amazing that this was written in around 700 BC. I really love this a lot. The Iliad is number 9. Now, number 8 is a sci-fi novel. This was written in 1965, written by Frank Herbert, and this is the classic Dune. And this is a story about a family, the Atreides family, that actually moves to this planet, um, the Dune. You know, it's Dune, but it's Arrakis, the planet Arrakis. And on this planet, it's just a desert wasteland, and they have these gigantic worms that could eat a spaceship. They could eat, you know, I mean, they eat everything, and you know, I mean, you can't be on the sand very long and make vibrations, or these worms will get you. This also has a fantastic villain in it, the Vladimir, what was he? The Baron. The Baron was an amazing villain in this story. He's a great villain. Plus, the hero of this, Paul Atreides, is a very interesting hero. I liked his father. His father is really good. His mother is a great character as well. I've read this about 3 times, and every single time I've enjoyed it. And I have a feeling when I read it again, I'm going to enjoy it even more. And there's more books in the series that I plan on reading soon. But yeah, the book Dune is a fantastic book. The movies aren't so bad, but the book blows away the movies. And the miniseries too. I actually watched a miniseries of it, and they were all right. They weren't awful, but I hope somebody actually does this book justice, because this was an incredible novel. Dune is amazing. I love it. Coffee in space. That's funny because they actually mention coffee quite a bit in this novel, which is pretty interesting. So that is number 8, Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, number 7 is Charlotte Brontë wrote this novel in 1847, and this is the classic Jane Eyre. And this is the story of this woman's life. Jane Eyre is an amazing character, and this is a love story. Plus, this is more than a love story. A lot of people might look at this book and might think that it's just a love story, but this is more than a love story. You're going to love her character. She really has an amazing character, and the love story of this is great. The way that it ends is pretty amazing. I really love the ending of this book. It really blew me away. And her character was just amazing. Jane Eyre is a fantastic book. And if you actually gave this a shot, you'd be amazed. For this book being from 1847, that it's as good as it is. Because it's very relatable. You will relate to the character of Jane Eyre quite easily. She's an amazing character, and I loved it. Jane Eyre is number 7. Okay, number 6, I'm going to have a little bit of problem pronouncing this author's name. Fyodor Dostoevsky. I butcher that name. It is a very hard name to say, and this is a classic, Crime and Punishment. And this book was amazing. I really loved this book. This book blew me away. It just goes on and on. It's like you don't know what to expect, and it throws a lot of left curves at you, and it's constantly surprising you on how this book goes. And it's got a very interesting ending, and oh man, the beginning of this book, when we talk about the crime in this book is amazing. The scene where he commits this crime, it will blow you away, and I loved it. And then what happens right after the crime is pretty amazing, and what he goes through. This wasn't what I expected, but man, I love this book. This book was amazing. Crime and Punishment is amazing, and it's a Russian novel, and it's an amazing Russian novel. This was from 1866, Crime and Punishment. I highly recommend it. Although a lot of people have probably read this already, and they know that this is a great novel. That is number 6. Now, number 5 is written by Margaret Mitchell. This is from 1936, and this is Gone with the Wind. Now, I was familiar with the movie for the longest time, and this is a fantastic movie. A lot of people might not like this movie because it does talk about slavery. There are characters that are slaves in this novel, but there's a lot of love for the slaves in this novel. They really love each other, and the slaves even love the people that the slave owners, because when everything falls apart, they don't leave the property of Tara. And I really love the movie. Oh yeah, and there's a character, Rhett Butler, that's amazing. And Scarlett O'Hara, she you kind of don't like her, but at the same time she's a very interesting character. But that's the movie. This book is like 1,200 pages long. It's a long book, but it's gripping. The descriptions of the Civil War, the you know, although this book is very hard to read when the slaves are talking, because they write she writes in the way to where how the slaves would talk, and it's not very easy to read the slaves when they talk. But it's an amazing book, man. I love this. There's so many parts to this book that's incredible. Plus, uh, it's just amazing. It really is. I love this book. I love the. It really blew me away. I was really engrossed with this book when I read it, and I was never bored. It's an amazing book, and yeah, it's a 1,200 page book, and it's my favorite long book. It's amazing. Well, the next one up is number 4, and this is another long book that's really amazing. Not as long as Gone with the Wind. This one was from 1985, written by Larry McMurtry, and this is Lonesome Dove. Now, this is a story of some people that actually decide to do a cattle drive, and this is the story of the cattle drive, and this is an epic story. This is also a mini series that's pretty epic as well. But yes, it goes into all the trouble they have going on this cattle drive, and all the pains that they have to deal with. You know, the sand in your eyes, the mosquitoes, the heat, the dangerous rivers they have to cross. Plus, there's more. There's this other story that happens at the same time, and it's really amazing. There's this like one character that's gets really angry, and right in front of people, she twists off these chickens' heads. Yeah, and most people, when they've read this book, there's a lot of people. As a matter of fact, everybody that I've ever heard that's read this, they've all loved it, and I've never heard of a person reading this book and not loving it. This was an incredible book. Lonesome Dove is number 4, and I highly recommend it. It is definitely worth your time. Okay, now number 3 is another book written around 700 BC, and this was written by Homer, and this is the Odyssey. Now, this is better than the Iliad, because this is like after the Iliad. This is the quest that Odysseus takes to get home, and a lot of this story, believe it or not, is like he goes to a place and he kind of tells the story of a lot of the incredible things that happen in this story. So this isn't like told of him going through these events. It's like him telling stories of these events. But the end of this book, he actually winds up going home, and it's just great. It's fantastic of all the things he does when he gets home. There's this movie called The Return that's coming out pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing it because it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. And this is an amazing story. It really is, man. There's a cyclops in it. There's big sea monsters. There's a couple witches in this story. And, oh yeah, they go to the land of the dead. This book is just amazing. It's an amazing adventure. I'm blown away that this was written at around 700 BC. Amazing. The Odyssey is definitely worth your time. Now, number 2, this one, Herman Melville. By saying that name, you know which book this is. This was written from 18. This book was written in 1851. This was Moby Dick. Now, Moby Dick is this story about whale hunters and all they go through when they hunt down these whales. This is also a story about a person that's hell-bent on revenge, that lost his leg and he wants to get payment back for his lost leg. And it's really an interesting look into why having hell-bent revenge on somebody is not a good idea, because this guy becomes obsessed with hunting down the white whale. Ahab is an amazing character, and there's so many details. Now, I made a video about what Moby Dick is about, and if you should check that out if you haven't read Moby Dick, because this is an incredible novel. It's definitely a very rich novel that's got a lot of details that's just incredible. It's a never boring book. The characters are amazing, and I really love this one. Moby Dick is definitely not underrated. It's definitely a book that's exactly gets the credit that it deserves, because most people that have read this will say that this is an outstanding book, and I agree. I loved it. Moby Dick was incredible, and I highly recommend it. Okay, we're going to get to number one, and this is written by many people. And this is a book that was written about 100 CE, like 100 years after BC. And this is the Bible, the Holy Bible. Now, the thing about it is I read this book every single day, and it is really incredible if you really look at this book. And every day when I read this book, I read 3 different Bibles. And I'm not, don't think that I have this book as number one, that I'm like a diehard Christian or something. I don't have 100% faith in what I'm reading, but there is a very good possibility that the things in this book really actually happened. And it's really incredible on how this was written by people that didn't even know each other, that existed like many years later, and it's just incredible. There's so much to it. And when I'm talking about the Bible, I'm talking about the Old Testament and the New Testament. And every day I read 3 different Bibles, and they all say the same thing but a little bit differently, and that's really interesting. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend that you should at least look into it. Before you want to say that, it's just a bunch of bull, at least look into the book before you toss it away. I mean, you got to ask yourself, why are all these people follow this so closely, But I highly recommend it. The Bible is fantastic. And another thing about reading this, it's like you have kind of a peace of mind the more you look into this. It's like really does something for your spirit. I highly recommend it. And like I said, don't think that I'm going to ever push it. I'm not a person that's going to have religious content on my channel. But I do read this every day, and I study it, and I pray to God all the time. It's a blessing to be able to do that. Okay, so that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed the books that I talked about. I'm very thankful that you came by. If you like the video, can you please do me a favor and hit that like button? Especially if you like the content. It means an awful lot to me. Every time I see a like button on somebody that's hitting the like button on my channel, it's like a gem to me. I love it. If you can, leave me comments and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed, can you please subscribe to my channel? And if you have subscribed, I really want to thank everybody that subscribed to my channel and they still watch my videos. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for it. And that's it. I finally did it, man. It's a really good feeling to finally be able to get this done. Before I go, I just want to give a little bit of advice to people that want to make videos like this. If you want to do a top 10, my suggestion is to plan it like 2 months ahead of time. I started filming this like November, and I'm publishing this in January of 2025. And if you want to do a video, make videos like this, you definitely want to do this early, and you want to film them early, because if you try to do this on a daily basis, it's going to be a lot. And it makes it a lot easier if you film a bunch of videos and then release it later. So I hope that advice helps people that want to do something like this. I highly recommend that you do this, because this is a really interesting look at the books that you love. And to tell you the truth, I've done the list again, and I've actually moved things quite a bit around. I still have the same 100 books, but I have them in, I could actually put them in a different order if I did this video again. And I'm probably going to make videos like this every year. So at the beginning of the year, this is going to be my thing. So I am Peter the Book Lover. I want to thank you for coming by, and I see you in the next video.